Just imagine if you got a pair of shoes with magical powers, and the moment you wore them, you could go from being a total beginner to a skilled player in just one day. Something like this happens with Calvin. Calvin is a teenage boy who lives in an orphanage in America. One day, he was playing basketball in the front garden of the orphanage with his friends, Murph and Reg. Suddenly, a naughty boy named Ox showed up just to make fun of Calvin. He said, "If you've got the courage, then play a basketball match against me." Calvin gave it his all, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't win against Ox. Ox easily defeated him by a huge margin. Since he lost the bet during the match, Calvin had to hand over his favorite shirt to Ox. But Ox tore it the moment he put it on, just to annoy Calvin. One day, the owner of the orphanage, Stan, sent all the children to sell candy at a basketball game so they could earn some pocket money. When Calvin saw Coach Wagner there, he thought the coach must be rich, so he tried to sell all the candy to him. At first, the coach refused to buy anything, but when he found out the money was for orphans, he gave Calvin 4 tickets to a basketball game. The next day, some people came to the orphanage to adopt children. That's when Calvin realized that everyone only wanted to adopt little kids, and that nobody was ever going to adopt him. He walked away sadly. Later, we saw some boxes of donated clothes arrive at the orphanage. But Calvin's eyes caught a pair of white shoes that were kept separately from the pile. The nun standing there said those shoes probably belonged to some famous basketball player. When Calvin looked inside, he saw the letters MJ written on them. He instantly realized these shoes belonged to the legendary basketball player Michael Jordan. Seeing all this, Ox became very jealous. He snatched the shoes from Calvin, tied the laces together, and hung them on a wire. That night, as heavy rain poured and lightning began to strike, Calvin couldn't stop thinking about those shoes. He went out with his friends, Murph and Reg, to get them down. With great effort, he tried to reach the shoes by climbing a tree. But suddenly, lightning struck a nearby pole, and Calvin fell straight to the ground with the shoes in his hands. Luckily, he wasn't hurt. But to his surprise, he saw the shoes begin to shine, as if some mysterious power was hidden inside them. The next day, he planned to watch a basketball match with his friends, using the 4 tickets Coach Wagner had given him. But at that very moment, Ox spotted him. Fearing that he might tell Stan, Calvin quickly pulled him inside with him. During the match, the coach announced that someone from the audience would get a chance to play a one-on-one game with basketball star Tracy Renaults. Luckily, Calvin was the one who got picked. At first, Tracy went easy on him, thinking Calvin was just a small boy. But soon, Calvin started scoring basket after basket. There was definitely something special about those shoes, because Calvin was jumping as high as 6 feet. Seeing Calvin's incredible talent, everyone in the stadium was completely stunned. The next day, Coach Wagner went to meet the orphanage's owner, Stan, to get permission for Calvin to play on his team. At first, Stan refused, but when the coach offered him more money, he happily agreed. Everyone in the orphanage was very excited, but Ox didn't like this at all. That same day, Calvin told his friends that there was magic in his shoes, and that everything he had done was only because of those shoes. But Ox overheard everything he said. Later, when Calvin arrived to play in the basketball match, the coach gave him a new pair of shoes to wear along with the team uniform. But Calvin insisted on playing with his old shoes instead. After a bit of arguing, the coach finally gave in and allowed it. After playing that one-on-one match with Tracy, Calvin's popularity grew a lot. In that match, Calvin's team wasn't performing very well, so Calvin insisted that the coach let him play. He went in wearing his old shoes, played amazingly, and helped his team win. After that, he even signed a contract saying that he would continue playing with the team in the upcoming matches. During their flight, the coach told Tracy that Calvin would now be staying in his room, and from that point on, Tracy would be completely responsible for taking care of him. Calvin was really happy about the idea of staying with Tracy, but Tracy wasn't too happy about it. He showed Calvin how to use room service, then went out on a date with his girlfriend. Once Calvin found out about room service, he excitedly ordered all his favorite things. When Tracy came back to spend some time with his girlfriend, he was shocked to see the state of the room. That night, because of Calvin's loud snoring, Tracy kept tossing and turning and couldn't sleep at all. The next day, before the match started, Tracy looked really tired and sleepy. The coach noticed he hadn't slept properly and warned him that if he didn't rest well before the next game, he would be suspended from the team. After that, Calvin played many games and helped his team win one after another. He was becoming really famous. With the money he earned, he bought gifts for everyone in the orphanage. One night, Calvin was showing off by telling Murph his basketball stories. But Ox got jealous and suddenly tried to snatch Calvin's shoes. Hearing the commotion, Stan came over and scolded Ox harshly for troubling Calvin. One night before the next match, Tracy went to the medical store to buy some medicine so he could get a good night's sleep. Calvin also tagged along with him, though a bit unwillingly. During their conversation, it came out that Tracy didn't have a good relationship with his father and didn't even talk to him. Calvin found this very strange, because he always wished he had someone he could call dad, and yet Tracy, who actually had a father, chose not to speak to him. By mistake, Tracy picked up a heavy dose of sleeping pills instead of allergy medicine, and after taking them, he ended up falling asleep in the car. Somehow, Calvin managed to drive them back to the hotel, even though he kept bumping into things along the way. He did it just so Tracy wouldn't get suspended for staying out all night. The next day, Tracy found out that because of his reckless driving last night, the coach had suspended Calvin from the match. Tracy felt really bad that the innocent boy had to face punishment because of his mistake. Later, while heading back, Tracy thanked Calvin for saving him, and the two of them became good friends. When Calvin returned to the orphanage, many people began lining up, hoping to adopt him. Murph felt bad about this too, because deep down, he wished someone would like him as well. On the other hand, Stan didn't want anyone to adopt Calvin, because if Calvin left, they would lose money. That's why he carefully picked out and introduced unfit people to Calvin. Calvin didn't like any of them, so in the end, he decided to stay at the orphanage. One day, Calvin went to meet Tracy at his home. He was surprised to see Tracy's luxurious house, and he told Tracy everything that had happened in the past few days. Tracy helped him solve all his problems, and they also had a lot of fun together. But the next day, trying to bridge the gap between Tracy and his dad, Calvin called Tracy's father over without asking him first. Tracy didn't like this at all, and he clearly told Calvin to stay out of his personal life. The following day, they had a match against their rival team, but because of the tension between Tracy and Calvin, they ended up losing. The coach was furious, wondering how they could play so poorly in such an important game. Now they had only one match left to decide whether they would make it to the knockout round or not. The next day, at the orphanage, Stan introduced Calvin to a family who wanted to adopt him. Along with that, he gave Calvin a new pair of shoes and said, "Son, first impression is the last impression. Go to the meeting well dressed." Calvin then gave his lucky shoes to Murph and told him, "Dude, even if aliens abduct you, tell them they can have you but not my shoes." Murph tried to play like Calvin while wearing the shoes, but nothing magical happened when it was his turn. After a while, Ox came over to Murph and asked him about the shoes. When he refused to answer, Stan set fire to the corner of his mother's last picture. The truth was, Stan had bet a lot of money on the opposing team in the next match. His plan was simple: if Calvin didn't have his shoes, he would play badly and lose the game for his team. Meanwhile, Calvin's first meeting with his new family wasn't going well either. Just before his match, Calvin got a call from Murph, who told him everything about the shoes. Calvin immediately rushed to the orphanage. With the help of his friends, he tied Stan to a chair, and together they demanded to know where the shoes were. When Stan rudely asked Ox to help him, Ox got angry instead. He switched sides and joined the kids. They managed to find the shoes and quickly headed off to the stadium. Stan somehow managed to free himself and quickly called his friends, asking them to stop Calvin. They tried their best, but no matter what they did, they just couldn't stop him. In the end, Stan came himself and stood right in front of Calvin to block his way. But Calvin rode the scooter straight into him and then rushed inside. At that point, Calvin's team was falling behind. But the moment he entered the match, he started scoring basket after basket, and before long the score was tied. Then, during one tough tackle, Calvin's shoes ripped apart. He sat there in despair, convinced that without his magic shoes, he was nothing. Then Tracy explained to him that the shoes just gave him confidence, and that the real talent was already within him. Hearing this, Calvin was filled with enthusiasm and went on to help his team win the match. After the match, he decided that he wanted to live like a normal child. So after talking to the coach about not renewing the contract, he went back to the orphanage. And after Stan left, the conditions there got much better too. One day, Tracy suddenly came to the orphanage and told Calvin that he was thinking of adopting a child, and asked if he would like to be his son and live with him. Calvin immediately agreed, but only on the condition that he and Murph were a package deal and would come together. His friend Reg was also adopted by another family. Finally, we see Calvin, Murph, and Tracy spending time together as a happy family. And that's where the story ends. If you had fun watching, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you.